There's a drought. Why is there a drought?
For a second there, I thought we were going to start singing again. I was like, is this going to be a new thing?
Every single video I start singing at. No! I can hear the no's around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Entertainment Dome. We are back.
Hooray! Or nay, depending on what you think of us. Though if you don't like us, why are you still listening?
I was about to say, if you can go away right now if you want. But
no, don't! We need the views!
We need more views.
So, God, I hate that Entertainment Dome with those guys, James and Michael, with their attractive voices and their charming personalities. God, I hate them so much!
How dare they talk about things that we do?
Yeah.
How dare they talk about video games? The thing is, there's barely any news at the moment because we're in the January drought.
Yeah, nothing happens in January.
Well, it's just after Christmas. They've basically satisfied us for the year. They're like, what do you want? We've got to build up for next Christmas.
We know, I say that now. I say, like, oh, nothing happens in January. And then there's a bunch of people listening going, no, why aren't you talking about this? This is super important, you guys.
Well, there is a couple of little tidbits that we'll probably wander onto throughout the show. But they're going to be very few and far between, I'm afraid. But I think we should actually talk about our favourite subject first. Our favourite man, especially Michael's favourite man.
Shut up.
Mr. David Cage. Yes, Michael is so happy about this.
Well, quick bit, because some people might be like, who? And I'm sorry for introducing you to this, but David Cage is a games designer. Game designer in the loosest possible terms. You can't see it, but I am doing
the same way that Michael Bay calls himself a director.
I am doing the biggest quotation marks ever as I say game designer. He's essentially a film director that couldn't get into movies, so he settled for video games.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he's responsible for creating such classics as Indigo Prophecy, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls, starring Ellen Page.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also he's got his own company, Quantic Dream, who are all responsible for making those three games. And he is just one of the worst. Just one of the worst game designers I've ever... One of the worst game designers, one of the worst directors, one of the worst writers I have ever witnessed.
So Michael loves him, essentially.
I hate to actually say it, because I find myself feeling really bad for saying this, but he literally has no talent. And if he does have a talent, it's completely overshadowed by all the shit that he makes.
He definitely sees himself as an auteur. He's very, very like, I want to break everything. I want a vision, and it's like, I like that. I want to see more of that, but I want to see more of that in more talented game designers.
Well, you know what? Kudos to him for having a vision and for wanting to, like, try and break ground. I can't fault him for that. He's just not very good at it.
He's also very, very egotistical as well. As most auteurs are, to be fair. And
I always feel like I hate using the term egotistical as a criticism, because everybody's got a bit of an ego on them. And
that's true.
And we all have those moments where we think what we've written is just the best thing ever, and there's nothing wrong with it. And if you think there's something wrong with it, you're just wrong because you didn't get it. It's just the fact that it's sort of a recurring
That's
thing.
Evangelion in a nutshell, really.
The thing is, though, it seems to me that David Cage is so far up his own arse that he pretty much sticks his head in the sand whenever criticism comes up. He seems to think he knows better than all other game designers. This is a man who once said that game overs were a failure of the designer.
He also basically stopped The Escapist from doing a review because he basically wouldn't answer any questions because they gave Heavy Rain a 7 out of 10.
Fuck it.
And he threw a fit.
Really? Because I'm going to be honest, Heavy Rain is the best one he's made. I genuinely like parts of Heavy Rain. I can't say the same for the other two.
Jason!
Well,
we actually have forgotten another game that he made. Actually, his earliest.
Oh yeah,
because
he made
Omicron.
He made one before that, but like
nobody
talks about it because it's like not as well known.
Even though it had David Bowie in it.
Oh yeah, I think I remember you telling me this.
In a really, really early, like, horrible pre-rendered model, and he looked terrifying. Like, I'll show you some bits later, Michael. He looks like the most terrifying thing you'll ever see on screen.
I think it says a lot when Labyrinth was a better decision that David Bowie made.
Oh, it was. It was a massively better decision. I liked that movie.
I'm sure.
As I would.
Yeah, I think a lot of people liked it as well, so I'm probably going to be like, fuck you, Michael, Labyrinth was great.
To be fair, we like it because it's just bonkers.
Yeah,
Not because it's a fantastic piece of work. Even though it's Jim Henson, even Jim Henson at his worst is still better than most.
Yeah, I've heard people like it, not because they think it's a genuinely brilliant film, but because it's like so goofy.
It's very goofy. But yes, in terms of news, David Cage has been for a few months now actually been teasing a announcement. And it's been linked to Indigo Prophecy.
Yeah, because he's re-released the game on Steam in HD, right?
Yep. What I really loved was it looked like he was saying, oh yeah, there's going to be a sequel or something. And then he just went, oh no, it's a HD re-release. It's like, oh.
No one wants a sequel to Indigo Prophecy.
Well, here's the thing. Indigo Prophecy started off well. Like, it did start off decent. Like, this decent murder. Like, ooh, what's happening? Why did this guy do it? Who's controlling him and all this lot?
Yeah, that is...
And then halfway through the game, it felt like the dog ate the script.
What happened was David Cage had a whole bunch of ideas and he couldn't bring himself to keep them as separate stories. So he thought, maybe if I put all these great ideas together, it will make the most amazing story ever. To which I say, no, Sally, that's not how writing works. You can't come up with like brilliant ideas and somehow put them together. It's like, you know, ice cream and... Think of something else that's really good, James. I'm kind of drawing a blank here.
Syrup.
Yes. Well, actually, no. Ice cream and syrup together actually sounds kind of tasty. Bad analogy. Bad analogy. Restart.
Ribs. Barbecue ribs.
Yeah, it's like barbecue ribs and ice cream. They're both really good, but that doesn't mean putting them together is going to make it amazing.
That is true. It is a shame. It's also... It just... Up until that point, it was actually really good, and there was a really interesting failure state where you could actually drink alcohol, and then there was pills. And if you weren't careful, you could actually get a game over and kill yourself.
Yeah, it was possible to commit suicide in that game and get a game over.
It's just literally out of nowhere, like, oh shit!
Well, it wasn't like Indigo Prophecy. It didn't start off good and then got worse. It was kind of goofy from the outset. It just had a bit of an interesting thing going for it. Like, there was some really silly shit going on in that game, but the mystery was engrossing enough that you sort of felt like, I kind of have to stick through to the end of this. And then you got to the end of it and you were like, wow.
Actually, no, it wasn't the end. It was up until the Matrix flying scenes that really got me.
Yeah, this was a game that was originally released on the PS2 and Xbox, so it did not look good.
It really didn't. It's not aged very well, and I've looked at some of the screens for the HD re-release. It doesn't look particularly great either.
I have heard that it's barely an HD re-release, but then again, how many HD re-releases are actual HD re-releases? I've got
That's true.
I have both the Ratchet & Clank HD trilogy and the Sly Cooper HD trilogy. I love those games to death, but they look no different.
I was about to say I got Ratchet & Clank for Christmas, and it on the PS Vita, and it looks pretty much the same as the PS2.
Yeah, exactly. It looks barely any different. I'd even say that there are some little things about the HD collections for those games that actually make them slightly worse than the PS2 version.
Really? What's that?
I will not like anything glitchy or buggy, but there were just like little nuances that obviously somehow got removed in going from standard to HD, and I can't figure out why that was, and they just bug me a bit.
Might have been little bugs that they overlooked while
maybe, I don't know,
working on it for the system. Maybe that's a thing. It's a shame, but sadly that happens.
Still great games. Don't get me wrong. They're still fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
They're still fantastic games.
Fantastic games on all platforms, I think.
Yeah.
But, yep, that's David Cage in a nutshell. He re-released Fahrenheit, and it was barely a re-release, and it looks...
Fahrenheit being the European title for Indigo Prophecy.
Yeah.
They're the same game.
Why did they change the name? I never understood that.
I don't know, and personally I think Fahrenheit makes a much better title, since the titular Indigo Prophecy, A, doesn't make any sense, and B, doesn't even come up until the final third of the game.
I was about to say, it barely makes an appearance.
Heavy
and
Rain
Fahrenheit
makes more sense.
Yeah, Fahrenheit makes more sense because it's always snowing. So
exactly,
it
it's super cold.
Sense. But
that being said, though, I still argue that Indigo Prophecy is better than Beyond Two Souls. Fuck that game.
Oh yeah.
In fact,
I am metric ton.
not even a game. I don't even call it a game. It's David Cage's Ellen Page fanfic. That's what it is.
Yeah. And before anyone complains, we like Ellen Page and we like all the actors that are involved in that thing, but it wasn't a very good game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not dissing Ellen Page for this because it's just the fact that David Cage can't write for shit. Thing is, though, she can't afford that what she was getting involved in was good. I refuse to believe that Ellen Page looks back on Beyond Two Souls fondly.
Probably not.
It's going to be like a footnote in like her.
Well, we talked about this, that basically he brought out like a massive clipbook of essentially her life.
Yeah, he did do it. Yeah, when he saw Ellen Page, he thought, "Oh, yeah, I want her to be like the main character for my next game." Which, fair enough. But then he kind of stalked her for a bit, and it was sort of like, ugh.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen who want to be directors in the audience, that's not how you do it.
Yeah,
just putting that out there, you don't do that.
But yeah,
actually kind of terrifies a performer.
Like I said, Ellen Page was already successful enough by that time. Like Beyond Two Souls is hardly going to be on her resume. She's been in Juno, X-Men. She doesn't need this.
You say that, but what do you think's worse, Beyond Two Souls or X-Men 3?
Beyond Two Souls.
Really? I would have put them both on the same category.
No, I'd say X-Men 3 had something. Beyond Two Souls has nothing.
What was that something?
Kelsey Grammer as the Beast.
Point.
Also, X-Men 3 got retcon, so it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah! That was the best thing that happened.
It's kind of funny, though, because they retcon X-Men 3, but they had to retcon X-Men 2, which everybody loved, so it's sort of we
lost. The only depressing
we
thing.
got rid of the really bad one, but we had to get rid of the really good one, too.
I wonder if that means that they're actually going to bring back Lady Deathstrike.
Maybe. Well, the next film's called X-Men Apocalypse, so...
Yeah, they're going to have Apocalypse, who's being played by Oscar Isaacs.
Oh, is it? I heard it was Tom Hardy.
Nope, they've changed it. It's
okay.
Who's going to be in the new Star Wars movie.
Okay.
Which, fingers crossed, maybe will be good. Maybe.
Star Wars Episode 7 is either going to be really good or really shit. There is going to be no in-between.
No, it is going to be either of those two things, and I'm hoping it's going to be the good thing.
Although, to be fair, I would laugh my arse off if everybody came out of the cinema from Episode 7 and they were like, "Oh, so how was Episode 7?" Everyone just sort of went, "It was alright." Not on air, just it was alright.
Oh no!
Just not. They don't hate it, but they don't love it. They're sort of like, "It was okay. It was okay, I guess. Nothing terrible, but nothing great either."
Oh god, no!
Just this big apathy towards it. Just sort of like, could have been worse. It would be like Star Wars Episode 7. It could be worse. Daily Telegraph.
Not as bad as Episode 1 to 3.
I've seen better.
They're saying that I've been for a while saying please don't suck to Into the Woods, and thankfully Into the Woods didn't suck. So hopefully
have you seen
it'll
that
work for Star Wars. I have. I loved it. It was fantastic.
Oh, okay.
There are some bits I'm not happy with. You can definitely tell Disney got in the way of some of the things that the show had, which is a little bit annoying. But it's still leaps and bounds better than Sweeney Todd, which...
Into the Woods was based off of a TV show?
No, it's based off a musical.
Oh, right.
Like, it was written by Stephen Sondheim, who also did Sweeney Todd.
Gotcha.
And I've said this many, many times before, and people still hate me for it, but I did not like Sweeney Todd the movie, because I thought it wasn't very good. But that's just me.
I've not seen Sweeney Todd at all, so I have no opinion.
So. Basically, if you want to watch it, watch the concert version. It's actually very good. But the movie version sucked balls and was basically stunt casting of the worst caliber.
Well, it was made by post-Nightmare Before Christmas Tim Burton, so I don't know what you were expecting.
That's true. Careful what you say, Michael, because a lot of people are going to go, they don't like Tim Burton.
I don't like it. I have no opinion on Tim Burton. I like Nightmare Before Christmas, but that's it.
The thing is, Tim Burton didn't direct.
Yeah, it's called Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas because he did come up with the original idea. Yeah. So it's
he created it, but he didn't direct it.
He didn't direct it, no. Which is what, because I remember.
Sorry, kids.
I remember the actual director of Nightmare Before Christmas went on to direct Coraline, But when Coraline was advertised, directed by the director of Night Before Christmas, everyone went, "Oh, Tim Burton's working on it." No, Tim Burton's got nothing to do with it. But it looks exactly like Tim Burton stuff. Look, Tim Burton's not working on this, okay? But it's
because the director worked on Night Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Also, Coraline was, dare I say, better.
I still have to see Coraline. It's on my to-watch list. It's on my to-watch
very,
list.
very good. Also, Keith David's in it, and it's like, yes!
Oh, really?
Yeah, Keith David's the cat.
Oh, nice.
And he's awesome.
Well, have you
Really
heard him? Have you heard his voice?
Mm-hmm. Keith David's one of my favourite actors, so I listen to his voice whenever I get the chance. Especially in the Saints Row 4. That was just...
Have you seen The Princess and the Frog? Because he was the bad guy
yes.
in that. Yeah.
I really liked that, and it's a shame that they brought that, and it was like, yeah, we're going to go back to 2D, the proper 2D animation, and they haven't made a 2D animation.
Well, I think that's because Princess and the Frog didn't do as well as they hoped at the box office. It wasn't a flop, but it didn't make as much money.
It didn't make as much money.
Which pisses me off, because I remember when that film was coming out, I thought to myself, ooh, I should go watch that. But it was at that awkward teenager phase of my life where I was like, oh wait, no, I can't because it's Disney and that's childish, and I can't do that because all my peers will suddenly judge me and I won't be an adult anymore. I have to be an adult. I then watched it one Christmas many years later, and I was like, why didn't I watch this when it first came out? It's so good.
You see, at that point in my life, I was already judged, so I didn't care. I just went to it, but I do see what you mean. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but it was definitely a good movie. It was a nice return to form.
I'd put it in one of my top 10 Disney.
I think for Dr. Facilier was just, again, Keith David singing.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong there. It's Keith bloody David.
The whole soundtrack was actually really good. I was surprised by I wasn't. Obviously you go in thinking jazz in a Disney film. That's kind of odd. But then it's like, oh, actually no, this is really good.
I have got to admit, I think as much as I do see what Doug says about Randy Newman, he does do the same thing. I think he's a bit harsh on him for Princess and the Frog, because I thought Princess and the Frog, the soundtrack for that, as you said, was really good.
I think one of my favourite... It always comes to me whenever I think of the soundtrack, because like there was that song Dig a Little Deeper, I think it was called, which is meant to be the whole turning point for the characters, where it's like that the two main characters are supposed to sort of realise that the ways they're going in their respective lives isn't going to work, and they sort of have to make some changes. Like Naveen needs to stop being so greedy and like actually take his life seriously, whereas Tiana needs to do the opposite and actually loosen up. But I just love the fact they do this whole musical number, and then they're like, "Okay, Tiana, do you get it now? Yes, I do. I've got to work even harder than before." And everyone's reaction is literally just an "oh," and it just made me laugh. It was just like, wow.
Yep. It was a good reaction, but I still think it was a good movie. It was very enjoyable. The soundtrack was great. Keith David, just more Keith David, please.
Great animation as well, considering they've gone back to doing hand drawn for the first time in what, 8-9 years or something.
Roundabout since Home on the Range, which was a sad
Okay,
movie.
Look, I've not seen Home on the Range for years. I don't get the hate. I think I don't love the movie. I'm not going to defend it, but I think I'm the only person in the entire world who's sort of like, why does everyone hate this movie again?
I think it wouldn't be judged as harshly if it wasn't the last 2D animation movie up until Princess and the Frog.
Is it because it was so silly in terms of its plot? You know, 3 cows trying to catch a rustler who hypnotizes cows through opera singing.
Probably.
Because if people are sort of like, oh, that's why it sucks, I'm sort of like, okay, I want you to listen to this plot again. It's 3 cows trying to capture some sort of Wild West villain
one of whom is being played by Jennifer Tilly,
who steals cows by using opera music to hypnotize them. That sounds like genius.
Again, I don't think it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. But it was also the last... Disney said this is the last 2D animated movie. And I think that did leave a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. I think that's what led to a very jaded opinion. And I think I can definitely see what you mean, and it's far from being Disney's worst, but it's also, sadly, it's definitely understand the bitter taste they would leave in people's mouths. This is the last Disney movie that they're going to do 2D.
I suppose
really?
that does make some sense, because when you think of 2D animated Disney films, well, the first ones that comes into your head, Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, basically musicals. These big grand musical pieces,
or just not even that, just the beautiful animation.
That too, and then your final swan song for 2D animation is cows in the Wild West.
Yeah.
Pourquoi?
Pardon? Yeah, that. And again, we didn't think there was going to be any more 2D animated from Disney, and they still should do that. They still should.
I would love another 2D animated Disney film.
They should bring it back, because
they won't, but I hope they will.
Yeah, because it's getting boring. That more 3D animation.
Well,
great.
To Disney's credit, I remember when they first started doing CGI stuff, and I was sort of like, oh really? And I haven't watched a lot of the middle stuff, like Meet the Robinsons and Bolt and all that. But
I've heard those are not very
from
good.
From a distance, I didn't like the look of them. Didn't look Disney to me. When Tangled happened and I watched that, I was like, shit, that's good. Because I think with Tangled, they finally nailed it. They nailed a 3D look that still said Disney.
Yeah.
Which they've carried on through Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen.
That's true. But...
I mean, despite my faults with Frozen, it does look like a Disney film.
I'm not saying a word. I'm not going to say a word because people will shout at me. But if I did say something about Frozen... How dare you!
No! Don't talk bad about our favourite movie ever.
Please, you haven't seen good enough other Disney movies.
Well, for many, though, it's like their first Disney movie.
I know.
Like, so many 2- and 3-year-olds love that film, and it's like, they haven't really seen anything else.
I was about to say, that's understandable, but I still don't think it needs a villain, and I still think Hans was just kind of phoned in at the last second.
I think they should have stuck with their original plan and make Elsa the villain.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have worked so much better. And the thing is,
well, not so much her, but her powers.
I feel like if maybe what they should have done is make Elsa antagonistic, but not evil.
A full-on... Yeah, that's
she
exactly
should have done a thing where after she left, she should have had that whole, the whole let it go thing, and then when Anna says, by the way, you froze the kingdom over, Elsa should have just been like, well, no one gave a shit about me. Why should I care about them all of a sudden?
Yeah.
They ran me out. They were afraid of me, so fine. I don't care anymore. And then maybe later she'll have a turnaround and sort of be like, oh wait, that's actually a bad thing. I should save them. Because that way it still sort of subvert that. Because people love Frozen because it's subverted so much. And I feel like if they did that, it's still filling that subversion quota.
Did it really subvert that
well,
much?
Well, it was like, they did the whole thing like, oh, you can't marry a man you just met. That kind of, because,
Even though they kind of did.
Well, no. To be fair, like Arlo and Kristoff did hook up, but it wasn't a marriage.
That's true.
Which is fine.
But to people who keep saying that they subverted so much, I'm like, did they? I'm not sure if I agree with that.
Well, I did like how the super attractive Prince character turned out to be a massive douchebag.
Yeah, but as I said, that just came out of bloody nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if I liked that. I thought that was a bit just phoned in.
I am in such two minds about Hans, because on one hand, we didn't need a villain, and it does kind of come out of nowhere. Plus, they had to make him evil since Arno was going to get together with Kristoff anyway.
Yeah.
So we can't have him be like sympathetic or anything. But on the other hand, he's such a massive dick that I can't help but love him. Plus, I like the fact that he wasn't like, you look at all the other Disney villains, and it's like you take one look at them and go, well, they're evil. Why are we trusting these people? Look at them. You look at Jafar, and it's like, why is he the royal vizier?
Why would you trust this guy?
Why would you trust this man? At least with Hans, he hides it really well.
Yeah, a little too well, as if the directors thought, oh shit, we need a villain.
As if it was a last-minute rewrite.
Yes. Yeah. I can understand why people would disagree with me, and some people try and say, oh, that it's hidden really well, you just need to find the signs. I have tried to find the signs, ladies and gentlemen. They're not there. They are not there. But that's again. I don't dislike Frozen. I do think Frozen is decent. I just don't think it's as great as everyone thinks it is.
Yeah, that's pretty much my stance on it too. It's decent, but not. I wouldn't call it Oscar worthy.
God no. I'm sorry. That should have gone to Miyazaki's Wind Rises.
Well, again, James, need I remind you that the only reason Frozen won the Oscars is because none of the panel watched any of the animated films.
Yeah.
So they just gave it to Disney because it's Disney.
Yep. When I heard that, I was like, well, fuck you guys.
And then the Lego Movie didn't win an Oscar either. Fuck that shit. Oh, that angers me so much.
Hopefully the second one will. Who knows? Hopefully.
Well, if the first one didn't win an Oscar, why would the second one?
Oh, you never know. You never know. We shall see.
I'm in two minds about the Lego Movie sequel as well, because the first one was so damn good. And it's like, how can you follow up from that? I mean, yeah, obviously you probably can, because there's still a lot of Lego stuff that they didn't look at.
It makes more sense than the Finding Nemo 2, or Finding Dory.
Finding Dory, yeah.
It makes more sense than that.
But I feel like with Lego Movie 2, I don't think it's going to have the same impact as the first one, because with the first one, just everything that it did, I absolutely loved, and I can't.
It could end up in two ways. It can either end up as Home Alone 2, as in not as good as the first one, or it could end up as Godfather 2, as in holy shit, this is amazing.
I think Lego Movie 2 will be decent, but I'm sure it will still be funny, but I doubt it will have the same kind of impacts that the first one did.
We'll have to see. I hope so. I can definitely see the risk, but if they can make it work, hell, they made a movie about Lego work.
Yeah, that's.
I'm not gonna throw my chips in yet.
I think now, because of the Lego Movie, I've suddenly become a lot more accepting of new ideas that sound really shit.
Like the Tetris movie?
Like the Tetris movie, which we discussed in one episode. Or when Telltale, Telltale, who makes the Walking Dead games?
Oh, they're making Minecraft.
Yeah, when they announced they were doing an episodic game based in Minecraft, so many people were like, oh god, this is going to suck. I'm like, guys, if a bunch of people could make the Lego Movie fantastic, I think we need to give Telltale the benefit of the doubt here.
And if anyone can make a good story work, it's going to be Telltale. Although saying that, there's only one thing I'm a little bit worried about. Telltale are doing a little too much. Like, they're bringing out a bit too many games, and they're not that big a development house.
They're kind of going a bit crazy. It's sort of like, we got Game of Thrones, we got Minecraft.
They got Game of Thrones, Minecraft, Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead. They've got Tales from the Borderlands. And apparently I think they're planning some more as well. So
well, I know for a fact
they have a lot.
I know for a fact they're making a season 3 of Walking Dead.
They are. They're going to plan to do...
Sorry, you go.
Sorry, go. I was about to say they're going to make a season 2 of Wolf Among Us, but they're going to do that afterwards.
I was just about to ask if they were going to do a season 2.
I was actually hoping they were going to do that before Walking Dead, but then again, Walking Dead makes more money.
Yeah, Walking Dead is far more popular because it's more well known. Like, you ask the average person, have you heard of The Walking Dead? They'll at least know the TV show. Wolf Among Us is based off of like a rather... I don't want to call it obscure, but...
Oh, it is, pretty much, to be fair.
I have actually got the Wolf Among Us, all of it, now up on the PS3. I have yet to start playing it, mostly because when I got it all downloaded, and then I had to update it because there obviously been an update since the game came out. I updated it, and then the game froze at the loading screen. The game froze at the loading screen of episode 1, so I couldn't even start the game. I looked it up, and it turns out that this was an actual problem that a lot of people had.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, Telltale, really?
Yeah, Telltale... I love Telltale to bits, but the biggest problem they have is sometimes bugs really do slip in, and they need to be more careful of that.
I love the Walking Dead game and all, but sometimes the moves can be ruined because when it like jumps from scene to scene, and there's that really awkward
movement. Yeah,
or the occasional bit of like model jumping. It's just sort of like, whoa, wait, what?
They make awkward moves or postures. It's like, wait, what? What are you doing?
Yeah, because sometimes even the facial animations, not most of the time it gets away with it, but there is like the occasional one where you're sort of like, it's kind of hard to take it seriously because not only is the animation itself kind of weird, it sort of gets stuck in place for like a second, so it's just sort of like, ooh.
You're like, Kenny, are you okay? Kenny?
Kenny had more problems than slight slightly buggy animations, but
Yeah, that's very true, but we're going
don't
to
want to go
spoil
into
it.
that.
Yeah. I will say this, though, when you play Wolf Among Us, you are going to have such a laugh. It's so good.
I hope so, because I finished Season 2 of the Walking Dead game recently. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea.
Oh, you poor man.
What is wrong with us? We all played Season 1 of Walking Dead, and we all thought it would be a good idea to carry on. We all thought that was a good idea. Why? We went into it knowing we were going to be depressed. Why did we think anything good would happen?
It didn't even wait 10 minutes into Season 2 when they pulled the heartstrings.
Oh, those bastards.
The first 10 minutes, it's like, oh, come on!
It actually got to the point, like 4 episodes in, when somebody else died. I wasn't even sad. I literally just went...
What the fuck were you expecting?
Death has gone to the point where it's now like a sort of... you just sort of expect it now, and you're more inconvenienced by it than depressed.
Oh, yeah, another person's dead. Less food to go around.
Without going into spoilers, because I really don't want to ruin the Walking Dead game for anybody, but the way Season 2 ends, because I looked it up, Season 2 can end in 5 different ways.
Yeah?
You know, Season 1, there was really only one ending for that. But Season 2 had 5. So with Season 3, it makes me wonder if it's going to pick up from where Season 2 left off, and they've got like some big plan involved, or we're going to focus on an entirely different character.
I would imagine they're probably going to focus on a completely different character and maybe bring back the surviving characters of Season 2 in, not the background, but like secondary characters, maybe?
Probably, yeah. Although, that obviously makes much more sense, because trying to come up with a beginning to Season 3 when there's 5 different ways Season 2 could have ended...
It's going to be a very tall order.
Yeah, exactly. But on the other hand, it also kind of depresses me, because I want to see more of Clementine, damn it.
I know! Clementine.
One of the best video game characters of like the last 5 years.
Yeah, and what I loved was that she could have gone really easily into like the, oh god, why did you put in a kid character?
Exactly.
And then it's like, no, you want this girl to be saved because she's like a really well written character.
Clementine, Nanako from Persona 4, and Pearl Faye from Phoenix Wright will always be the cutest cutest kid characters.
Yep, I agree with that.
You do not touch those 3. If you talk shit about them, I will hunt you down.
I will hunt you down and I will kill you.
I have a very special set of skills.
It's true. Those are well-written characters and I love them to bits. Speaking of Phoenix Wright, there's actually another game that I played that's similar to Phoenix Wright. I actually played Danganronpa.
Oh, you played Danganronpa?
Yes.
The first one?
Mm-hmm.
I played the second one.
I haven't played that one yet. I want
to.
Dude,
play the second one.
I will definitely get it when I get the money, but I played and finished the first one, and I like a lot of bits about it. There are some things I was a bit meh about, but there was actually one thing that I actually found I disagreed with a lot of people on. People said that all of the characters are stereotypes, which is true. All the characters in the game are massive stereotypes.
They kind of are, yeah.
But here's the big but. I think it's intentional. And I think they're actually like taking the piss out of it.
Well, you know what? Probably, because we should probably explain here. Danganronpa is a kind of the best way to describe it is a mixture of Ace Attorney, Persona, and Zero Escape.
Yeah.
In that there's a bunch of high school students who are trapped inside of a school by this robotic teddy bear called Monokuma. It's Japan, roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
And Monokuma says to them, you have to spend the rest of your lives in this school. And obviously the students are like, no, we don't want to spend the rest of our lives here. We want to get out. So
there's a clause as well that if they kill another student, that will lead to a courtroom drama. If they are able to get away with the murder, they are able to leave scot-free.
Whilst everybody else gets executed.
Mm-hmm. If, however, they're caught, they get executed.
Yeah, so it's pretty fucked up in that regard.
Yeah. It is... This is one of the things I absolutely loved. I loved that it was a lot more faster paced in terms of like the courtroom scenes. I thought were much faster paced than Phoenix Wright.
Oh, definitely. Well, the thing is, with Danganronpa, you're on a constant time limit.
Yeah.
You aren't allowed... With Phoenix Wright, you can at least sort of take a moment to stop and think. With Danganronpa, you've got to think on the fly.
Yeah.
You've got to remember every bit of evidence you have off the top of your head.
And just hope that you get it right.
Which actually, if you think about it, is important since hope is one of the main themes of the game.
Yeah, and this... I gotta admit, the whole despair thing I was kinda a bit meh upon.
How do you mean?
Like when they spoilers, by the way, but this game is the original Danganronpa has been out for years. The PS Vita's a re-release.
Okay, so now we can actually officially confirm there will be Danganronpa spoilers. So,
yeah. So if you don't want to listen now for the next few minutes, but basically they said, oh yeah, outside in the world's pretty much fucked because of despair, and I'm like, because of despair?
Okay, yeah.
It's a very anime. It's a very anime thing.
I get where you're coming from, but allow me to elaborate. It wasn't despair itself that fucks the world over. Something happened. It wasn't just despair. Something happened.
It was the event, the tragedy.
They keep referring to it as like the most awful, most terrible, most tragic event in human history. Even by the second game, I don't think they've properly explained what that event is, which is like one of the few things about Danganronpa that annoys me.
Yeah,
but
they keep mentioning it, and it's just like, what is it? Tell us.
Obviously, that's the big mystery. I can't remember if they did explain how it happened or not. I think they explained one of the instigators for it, but not the actual event in the second game.
Yeah.
But basically, something happened that was so god-awful that the world is pretty much fucked by this point. And the thing is, though, nobody's trying to fix it because they've been so consumed by despair. It's sort of like, why bother?
True.
And I know you said it sounds kind of... And yeah, it is kind of goofy, but on the one hand, the whole hope versus despair thing, I was really on board for. Like, the main character, Makoto, I fucking love him. He's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of his strengths. I also like I think what depressed me is my favourite characters kept dying.
Oh, that sucks.
Like, Chihiro was my first, and...
Wait. Oh, yeah, Chihiro, yeah.
He dies.
He, because it was a boy disguised as a girl.
Sakura,
yeah, she died.
The big muscly woman. I honest to God thought was a man.
We all thought she was a man. That was the point.
I was like, why is that man in a skirt? Wait, that's a girl? I love that they actually said that in game as well.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. You know, she's the ultimate martial artist, so obviously she's going to be buff.
She's meant to be. It was the stereotype. Again, what I liked was they took the stereotype. It looks like they were taking the piss out of the stereotypes because, like, the nerdy guy is incredibly overweight, nerdy, and it's like, yeah, no one in living hell could live like that.
Well, the thing is, though, all the students are referred to as the ultimates because they're the best at what they do. So you've got the ultimate martial artist, the ultimate swimmer, the ultimate pop star. They're the best at what they do. So if you think about it, them being the most stereotypical versions of that person alive kind of sort of makes sense. Although I'm sure that because obviously in between all the murders, you can spend time with all the characters and you can learn more about them. So obviously there is some depth to them. I think maybe you'll like Danganronpa 2 a bit better because its characters there are probably not as bigger stereotypes as the first casts of characters. Like, take for example, one of the characters in the next game is the ultimate Yakuza.
Okay.
And trust me, he's got layers.
That's good. I think I'm gonna enjoy that. I'm definitely gonna give the second game a go because my criticisms are light for Danganronpa 1. I still think it's a really good game. I still think it's really good. Also, one of the things I really loved, and it actually caught me by surprise. You know, is it Sayaka, the girl, the first girl who?
Oh yeah, Sayaka Mizuno.
Yeah, when she is saying, "Oh yeah, I'll be your assistant," I'm like, "Oh, she's trying to add like Maya from Phoenix Wright." This means she's going to be the villain.
She's more Mia than Maya, if anything.
Yeah. I thought, alright, she's going to be the. I thought she was going to be the villain, and then she dies in the first case. I'm like, oh,
she kind of was the villain because her original plan was to frame Makoto for murder.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what got me. It's like, oh, she's going to be the killer, and I'm going to have to go against her. Oh, she got murdered. Oh, okay. And then suddenly it turns out, oh wait, she planned to pin a murder on me. Wow, that's actually pretty.
But even then,
pretty twisty.
Kyoko, who's the ultimate detective, she does sort of say to Makoto that because of the dying message that Sayaka left, it's possible that she felt guilty in her dying moments.
Yeah.
So she left that message there in order to save Makoto. At least that's her interpretation of it.
That definitely true. And
it's also,
again, I like the twists that kept coming up.
It had some
very
good
well-written twists.
I'm kind of pissed off that I kind of spoilt most of Danganronpa for me before I played the game. Well, I was sort of like, I heard about it, and I was sort of like, well, I'm never going to play the game, so I may as well look up all the characters and all that. And then I did that, and then after a while, I was sort of like, I kind of want to play this game now, but I know who's going to die and who the murderers are. Shit. But I played it anyway, and there was still enough surprises for me to sort of be like, oh shit. I think that might be why I prefer the second game slightly more, because I genuinely didn't know what was going to happen going in.
I think that's always the best thing. And
Definitely.
From what I've been hearing, the second game is really good.
That being said, actually, wait, no, I take back what I said. I think the first game is just a smidge better than the second one. No.
Oh, okay.
No, the reason being is just because there's some slight gameplay changes that they make in the second one, which I'm not 100% on board with. They're very little, but they were little niggles in my opinion, and it's sort of like, just sort of pushed it down a little bit of a peg for me. The other one being that Danganronpa is a pretty outlandish series already. Thing is, though, I'll tell you this as advice, James. When you go into the second one, just be ready to accept a lot more than what you were going to see in the first game. Like the first game had a robotic teddy bear who could like sort of appear out of nowhere, and everybody involved were very clever and able to commit murder and commit some sort of very clever ruse to sort of throw everybody off.
Mm.
And there is some crazy ass shit that happens in the second one.
I do know there's another teddy bear in the second one.
Technically not a teddy bear.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It threw me off at first because obviously when you look, because obviously in the second game on the box art there's like a second Monokuma who's pink.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, oh, obviously she's an ally of Monokuma, right? Well, actually, when you play the game, one, she's not a robotic teddy bear, she's a robotic rabbit. Second, her name is Usami, and she keeps on saying that she's on your side. The only reason she looks like Monokuma is because when Monokuma shows up, he modifies her to look more like him.
Ooh. Interesting.
I won't say any more than that, because again, kind of spoilery. I feel like I've said too much already.
Yeah. I'll definitely look forward to giving number 2 a try. I'll definitely give it a try when I get the money for it, because I definitely like the first one. First one was really good.
I'll also say, actually, 2 more things about Danganronpa 2. One, when you beat the game, you unlock a novel called Danganronpa If. It was I think it was available as a novel in Japan, but over here they've put it onto the second game. Danganronpa If is quite interesting because it's one of those what-if stories.
Oh, right.
Where, okay, again, spoilers for the first Danganronpa. You remember how Junko got killed at the beginning?
Yeah.
And then it later turned out that it wasn't her, but
it was her sister.
It was her sister. Danganronpa If is what happens if Makoto gets all of his memories back before that ever happened, and saves Makuro from being killed.
Ooh.
Like, he sort of finds a thing that accidentally gives him all his memories back, and when he remembers that that's actually Makuro, not Junko, and then like he sees the spear coming to kill her, he pushes her out of the way and takes the spear himself.
Oh shit.
And the whole novel sort of shows what would happen from that point onwards.
Does he die?
He almost dies.
Oh, he almost dies.
He very nearly dies. But no. But yeah, that's interesting. The other thing being that, obviously, Danganronpa 2 has a different protagonist to Danganronpa 1, which is Hajime. And I was worried that Hajime was going to kind of get Apollo Justice Syndrome.
Oh, no.
Where he would be almost exactly like Makoto, because they need somebody to sort of fill in the Makoto role. I can gladly say that's not what happens.
Good.
He's a little bit similar to Makoto in some regards, but he's a far different character than Makoto is.
That's good. That I'm happy about.
And it becomes a lot more apparent as the game goes on. Because for starters, actually, for start, this isn't really a spoiler because you find out within the first 5 minutes of playing the game. Makoto was the ultimate lucky student, right?
Yeah.
Hajime can't remember what his talent is.
Oh.
He starts the game not remembering what ultimate he is. Which is kind of interesting. The other thing being that as the game goes on, even though he's sort of doing what Makoto did and like deducing everything, Makoto was a lot more submissive. Like, he wasn't like... He didn't like 100% agree with what everybody said, but he was less likely to sort of start a fight. And he was always like trying to be polite to everybody, even when they were being massive douchebags.
Yeah.
Hajime's a bit more vocal. Like, he's not a prick, but like when he makes it more apparent when he gets angry. He's definitely a lot more hot-blooded than Makoto is. And that's all I will say on the matter.
I was about to say, when you talk to characters who are arseholes to you, like Byakuya.
Byakuya was a very funny case, because throughout that entire game, I was like, fuck you, man! Fuck you, you utter cock! And then at the very end, he kind of sort of redeemed himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he was still a prick, but he finally got the message that, like, okay, I'm kind of getting bored now. Let's just end this shit already.
Yeah. I gotta stop being so much of a dick.
I also kind of like the fact that, like, after the first murder is solved, because Byakuya obviously looks down his nose at everybody, but after the first murder case, he kind of actually begins to see Makoto as a viable threat.
Yeah.
Because normally in that position, that kind of character wouldn't, like, treat the protagonist as a threat until way later. But Byakuya was sort of like, okay, Makoto is far more intelligent than he lets on. I may have to kill him.
He may be the person I have to fight against. Oh dear. I will admit, though, that if I was voice acting, that'd probably be the character I'd voice act, because... yeah, that's me.
There's an abridged version of it called Danganronpa abridged thingy.
I've been watching some of that.
Oh, you've watched it, have you?
I've been watching some of that. Like, I love it when Saika dies. He goes, I got one thing to say. What took you so long? It's like, yes! Oh, that was...
Yeah, that was...
I like that. I love it when Celeste talks, suddenly she turns monster-ific as well.
She's actually a demon.
I will eat your soul! That was...
I like for some bizarre reason, the only line I can remember is when Hifumi dies and Aoi just goes, "Not the fat guy. He was funny."
Oh, that's the abridged is good. Go watch the abridged and also watch the anime. I need to actually watch that.
I haven't watched the anime. I don't think I will because again, it's like a 20-hour game crammed into 13 episodes. It's like ugh. That's worse than the Persona 4 anime, which I liked, by the way. I did really like the Persona 4 anime, but I would not recommend. It kind of fails as an adaptation, really, because you can't really fully enjoy it unless you've played the game.
There was 2 Persona animes, wasn't there? It was Persona, the one based on Persona 4 and Persona Golden.
Oh yeah. Persona 4 Golden is only 12 episodes, is only in Japanese at the moment, and I'm going to be honest, I'm probably not going to watch it even if it gets dubbed into English.
From what I've been hearing, you're not missing much. Apparently, Persona 4 Golden's one is really fucking bad.
A friend of mine has actually watched the anime, and he likes it, but that's because Golden is very much a lot more like your typical high school romance kind of anime.
That's what I've been hearing.
And even though my friend likes those kind of animes, he did admit that it was sort of a bit pointless in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Because all the fights take place like off screen or done within 5 seconds. That being said, though, if Golden does get done into English, there's like 2 episodes of it that I do want to watch, because one of them is an Adachi-centric episode, which actually explains his entire backstory.
Oh, right.
I'm like, shit, I will watch that. The second one being the fights between Yu and Adachi, which apparently lasts longer than the one in the original anime, and actually has Yu use all of his personas instead of just Izanagi. And I'm sort of like, oh shit, yes, I need to watch that.
The rest of the anime, not so much, but those 2 bits, yes.
Well, the Yu versus Adachi bit in the original anime was one of my favourite moments. Because, like, admittedly, it's not really much of a fight, because Adachi just beats the shit out of him within seconds. But then Yu completely turns it around when him and all his friends are like, Adachi, you're being kind of a prick here. I'm kind of summing it up, it's way cooler than it sounds.
That's the thing, isn't it? Persona 4 is one of those games that it's like, it's really hard to talk about because it's like, okay,
it's so good.
It's so good. Okay,
where do you start?
It's like a Phoenix Wright. It's like, how do you explain how good it is? It's basically you're playing as a lawyer. Really? No, hear me out. It's really good. some games are just really hard to talk about. You just have to show them.
Yeah, you play as a defense attorney. That sounds kind of lame. No, it's great because he's a massive wimp.
Really?
Okay.
No, wait. The characters are completely nuts and are awesome.
I did actually, because my mum plays the Professor Layton games a few times, so I tried to get her into Ace Attorney. I think she played the first 5 minutes of the first game and then just stopped. Because she was like, these people are weird. And I was like, that's the point!
You play Professor Layton.
Well, to be fair, she sort of stopped when it jumped to the 3DS, because even she found the ending to the fourth game really stupid.
I don't play Professor Layton, so I can't comment on that.
Okay, just to clarify, the ending to the fourth game is really stupid.
That bad, huh?
It's really bad because, like the first 3 games all had genuinely touching, sad moments. Especially the third one. The third one's just flat out depressing. And then the fourth one felt really try-hard, as if like, okay, the third game made everybody cry, let's try and do it again. It's sort of like, no.
Ugh.
Come to think of it, now that I think about it, the second trilogy of Layton games weren't really all that great. I mean, they were decent, don't get me wrong.
I've been hearing that.
In comparison to the first 3, because Last Spectre, or Spectre's Call, depending on where you live, was good because it showed how Layton and Luke first met, but again, the ending was very try-hard. Miracle Mask was predictable as hell. It was the only Layton game where I actually knew exactly what was going to happen. Which I don't. I know, and that's really bad considering the Layton games have all been like really good at sort of like keeping you in the dark, because it's like you really don't know what's going on. But with Miracle Mask, you know exactly what's going to happen. And then Azran Legacy, while definitely the best of the second trilogy, kind of brings in a few massive plot twists that kind of come a bit out of nowhere, in all honesty, and it's also really short, like surprisingly so. Like the whole middle section of the game is really just filler. All the important stuff happens at the very beginning, at the very end.
That's a bit bad.
Yeah.
I'm not even a fan of Layton. I'm like, oh god, that's not really good.
It's also kind of weird because that's the last game. That's apparently the very last Layton game we're ever going to get, and it ends leading into the very first Layton game. So it's sort of like, it doesn't really feel like an ending to me.
Oh dear.
I feel like Lost Future was more of an ending than...
Oh god. I hate it when that happens. It could be worse though. It could be Metroid Other M.
It could be worse. I'm not saying Azran Legacy was a terrible ending. I was still happy. I still liked what I played.
Again, it's not Metroid Other M.
Yeah, but
which pretty much killed the Metroid series.
Did you know, James, that the Metroid Prime trilogy is available for download on the Wii U? For only $8.99.
Yep.
Are you going to get it?
I might be getting that because that looks really good, and
I think
the Metroid Prime series was good.
Especially considering the Metroid Prime trilogy disc is so hard to come by.
Mm-hmm. It's like Xenoblade.
Yeah, which you still need to play, goddammit!
I know, but I can't find it. Or if I do, it's like for hundreds.
I will lend it to you if I can. I will post it to you.
I'd like that.
Just to play it.
If worst comes to the worst, I'll definitely... I will probably try and get the new 3DS and buy it there.
I'm gonna be honest here, James. Xenoblade Chronicles is not a handheld game.
Oh god!
It does not suit a handheld at all, and it doesn't look terrible. But like, I feel like it loses something going to the handheld. You need to play it on a TV. I genuinely feel like you lose something if you're playing it on a handheld.
You know what needs to happen?
What?
Nintendo needs to bring back, back in the day when Nintendo had that peripheral where you could play Game Boy games.
Oh, yeah.
They need to do that, but with DS games. Because they would sell so much.
They would, definitely, but it sounds like that'd be something that would be very hard to make. I don't know.
I don't know. It sounds like
something
that
would like be very difficult to produce.
I don't know. They did it for Game Boy, and that was years and years ago. So, and that was ahead of its time, so if anyone can do it, it would be Nintendo. Although I will say this, that there has been some little bit of news that Nintendo's caused a little bit of controversy.
Oh, with the YouTube thing?
Yeah. For those who don't know, Nintendo for a while was starting to crack down on YouTube videos, which was not a very good idea. They were being which is not surprising because a lot of Japanese companies like Nintendo, like Sega, aren't don't have the best relationship with YouTube, to put it very lightly.
They don't like people making money off of video game footage that they made.
But you could also then make the thing that they are basically making free advertising for them, that people would buy their games. It's a very grey area, and while I can see why they like that, it's also the way they handle it is very bad. So they brought in a new thing where it's like, they will take... You are able to play their games and you're able to make money off, but they take 50% of your earnings that video.
I thought it was more than that.
No, I think it's only 50%. Saying 50 as if that's an only. That's still not good. Which is kind of revealing what I think about it, because I actually think the best person who actually talked about this was actually PewDiePie.
Really?
Which is... Yeah, I'm not even kidding. PewDiePie actually made a really good post. Let me post it to you now. There we go. He talks about that. For him, it's fine because he's PewDiePie. He has millions of followers. He's earned so much money that if he makes a video of a Nintendo game, it won't affect him because it doesn't matter. He makes so much money. But for some people, especially people who are Nintendo centric, it's a massive problem because it suddenly means they're losing much of their earnings, and a lot of these people rely on this to live. This is their job for some people, and I don't agree with Nintendo doing this. It is literally Nintendo taking half, and especially where many of these channels are basically saying, yeah, look, here's the game, buy it, play it. Many of these people want you to still buy the game and play it because at the end of the day, games are not movies. It's not like you're streaming a movie which only happens in one way. Video games, everyone plays differently. Everyone tries out different things, tries out all different methods, different ways of tackling a boss, on tackling everything. Everything is different. So there is no right way about it. So other people would still buy it. And that's the kind of the problem I see here. And also, you're taking away people's livelihoods, which is not a very good thing, Nintendo. But that's my piece.
I have heard many people make the argument, you know, when Let's Players say like, you know, oh, they're taking my money away. The automatic response from a lot of people is then get a real job.
Yeah, but I think that's a really... I'm sorry, but I'm the actor here, so I hate that line of thinking, because at the end of the day, the get a real job has changed throughout the ages.
What constitutes as a real job these days?
Yeah, that's nail on the head right there. To be fair, people that say, "Oh, this counts as a real job," about 10 years ago wouldn't be counted as a real job. Like, the concept of a real job is forever changing, and this is one of them. And at the end of the day, if you're making money from it and you're still giving to the system and still paying your taxes and whatnot, then sorry, it constitutes as a real job. So, yeah, I hate that line of thinking. It's a stupid line of thinking, and it's archaic.
I think my problem with the Nintendo YouTube thing, because the thing is, though, ultimately Nintendo do kind of have the right to get some of the money off of the ads, because ultimately they did make the game. I get that logic, I get it. But the thing is, though, the thing I noticed is that, as someone mentioned in an article about the whole thing, you have to wait up until like 3 business days for Nintendo to approve the video itself. So
Yeah.
you are spending a lot of time you're spending a lot of time recording the footage, editing it, checking the sound quality, and Nintendo could just very easily say, no, you can't put it up.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo haven't said, like, because what if what you make is not what Nintendo wants to hear?
And that's the problem.
What if somebody records Majora's Mask 3D is coming out in a few weeks' time? What if someone recorded footage of that and didn't necessarily say they hated the game, but like in one video of it they mentioned something that they didn't like about it? Does that mean that Nintendo could easily say, well, if you're going to talk badly about our game, we can not put the video up?
It's basically controlling criticism, which is a big issue. That's an even bigger problem.
And the thing is, though, that's not necessarily what has happened.
No, that hasn't happened. But
the thing is, that's something that is a
that's
concern. That's something that could very easily happen. So ultimately, what could end up happening is that, as I remember the example I read, what if there's some independent game reviewer who wants to sort of make a start, and the first thing they think of is, oh, I'll review a Nintendo game. They could make a review, and it could be about a bad Nintendo game, or they could do a review of a Nintendo game that they personally didn't like, or they could mention negative things about it. But because
get in trouble.
But because of the fact that they need to run that video past Nintendo first, they could very easily end up sort of just panicking and just retract their opinions entirely, and
stomping down a criticism, which is definitely not a good thing.
They could end up saying the exact opposite. They could end up like praising the game, which is not voicing their opinion.
Yeah, it definitely is a very horrible way they're handling it, and it's definitely something that should definitely be talked about and just literally torn apart. I think this needs to be. The good news is that a lot of people are talking about it and going into it, and I hope more people do, because don't get me wrong, I'm glad what Nintendo's been doing lately. Like, at the moment, they are literally the guys who've been making me want to play games more, because all the stuff they've been making are great, but that doesn't mean they should be exempt from criticism, and what they've been doing in terms of this is very bad and needs to be criticised, I feel. There's also another thing that someone has brought up, and it's the same argument that a lot of people make when they keep saying, "Oh, you're taking away sales from their games."
Oh, I hate that argument.
It is. It's a bad argument, because guess what's the game that's been made by everyone? Videos have been made of this game by everyone. Minecraft. Everyone's made a video on Minecraft, and that game is still selling. It's made billions. I think that argument should be made invalid now.
I always sort of feel like if you think that your game has sold badly because some guy played it on the internet, that's sort of like, well, really, if that's the case, then your game's not that good. Mate.
Yeah. Because 9 times out of 10, if I watch a video and I'm like, "Oh, that game looks great," I will buy it. Even if I've watched a whole playthrough, I'll still buy it because I want to enjoy it for myself.
There have been like a couple of Let's Plays that I've actively stopped watching because I wanted to give the game a go myself.
Well, it's actually been proven fact. This was talked about on the Co-optional a few times. It's usually the first video that you make of a Let's Play and the last video you make of a Let's Play that are the highest viewership.
Yeah.
Because people want to see how it starts and how it ends. Everything else is usually much lower because people go out and buy it. So, and again, it's free advertising.
The other thing I also argue is that the best kinds of Let's Players are the ones that get views because of them, not because of the game they're playing.
Personalities.
I have watched Let's Plays for games that I don't particularly care about. Like, for example, I'm watching a Let's Play right now of God of War 2. I couldn't give a rat's ass about God of War. I have no plans on playing it at all. But the reason I'm watching
God of War so
the reason
much.
I'm watching it is because I enjoy hearing the people playing it talk about it. I enjoy hearing them making jokes about it.
Yeah. Like, there's several games that, like, hell, I've watched Let's Plays of games I've played long ago. Like, I watched Markiplier when he plays his Dead Space ones. I played Dead Space so many times, but I like Markiplier's because of his personality and everything. Markiplier's hilarious.
I have not watched any of Markiplier's stuff. So.
He's good. He's... What's to put it? He's in a similar vein to PewDiePie, but he's a lot... I find he's a lot better. And he's also not just screaming all the time. I know this sounds really harsh considering I just I've gone to a comment about PewDiePie, and PewDiePie is good, but yeah, he's not as screamy. And let's be honest, PewDiePie is a screamer.
I have not watched any of PewDiePie stuff.
Really?
I think I watched like 2 minutes of it when a friend of mine just put his video on and it was just him screaming and I was like, no, fuck this,
no,
forget it. I also don't like his thumbnails. It's always him with I'm sorry, he's got a rapey looking face.
I think that's the intention, but I can definitely see what you mean.
Yeah, but
it's off-put. It's
really off-put. It doesn't make me want to watch it.
But here's the thing, and you hit the nail on the head again when you said that personalities are what win through, because it's getting to the point that people are going to personalities more than other sites. Like, again, talking about PewDiePie, what a quote of his has ended up on a game box.
Oh yeah, I saw that, and I sort of have to raise an eyebrow at that.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Again, talking about things are changing, things change all the time. It's getting to the point that people take more notice of like YouTube guys and everything, guys and girls, that it's getting to the point that isn't surprising anymore. I don't know. I wasn't as surprised about that. So yeah, people are more trusting of people on YouTube.
Well, I think that's partly due out of the stigma that games journalists have been getting.
Yeah,
because of like all the controversy that some sites have been getting. Suddenly, every games journalist on the planet is now scrutinized for life.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's not go. I was about to say let's not go into the GG anti-GG thing because
fuck that shit.
Because this is the thing. Now, some people have asked me for an opinion on that. I do have some opinions, but on both sides. But the thing is, I just want to talk about games. Like, I don't like this shit flinging that they're doing at the moment is just pathetic on both sides. And I'm just like, can we just talk about games? Yeah, we'll talk about the problems that games have been facing. We've talked about this many times, but let's just talk about games and enjoy ourselves. But I would say this though: if there's a person that I wouldn't, not trust, but I wouldn't as much listen, is PewDiePie, because PewDiePie is a let's player, not a reviewer. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be. So when he's quote under the box, I was like, I can see why it's on there, but it's not one I would put. It's
also, isn't the quote is just "this game is so awesome"?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's like, I find that so cringy.
Yeah,
it's like, really?
You couldn't get a better one.
It feels like they couldn't find a good review for their game, so they just picked up some random YouTube comment.
To be fair, that this isn't the first time a YouTuber has had their thing on used as a game quote. Like for Shadow Warrior, they used Total Biscuits. I'm trying, and I think it was something like, "This is still better than Half-Life 3" or something like that.
Oh,
it was used as a joke, but
yeah.
Let me actually try and see if I can find the quote. I think it's on Steam, but yeah, it's definitely not the first time. Yeah, there we go. Shadow Warrior is probably better than Half-Life 3. And it is done as a joke, but at the same time, yeah, I can see it. But personally, I think, again, times are changing. Things are always ever changing. The concept of job is ever changing. The concept of gaming press and everything, of gaming commentating, let's plays, reviews on the internet, everything are ever changing. That things like this are going to get more common, for better or for worse. That's the thing. That's why we're here, because we comment on the good and the bad. Admittedly, it's kind of still the drought. And that sucks. Because we're then stuck going, where's the news?
Yeah.
We want news. But
I want good news.
Yeah. Well, there is some good. It's like I think I read somewhere that the newest Xenoblade is apparently more open worldy and is a lot bigger.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles X is like massive from the sound of things.
Yeah.
Apparently, it took like the director 300 hours to 100% it.
Oh Jesus!
And Xenoblade Chronicles was big. It's sort of.
So this is going to be like,
and
you're going to spend a few years on your life doing this.
Well, this one now has the power of the Wii U behind it. You know, the first one had the power of the Wii, and I spent like, God knows how many hours on that.
Oh, there is another bit of good news, and this is good because I actually got it for Christmas. Super Smash Bros. Wii U, they're actually releasing more stages for 8 players.
Yay!
I have been kicking ass as Kirby.
Oh, yeah.
Because Kirby is the best character.
Kirby is one of the best.
Who rivals Kirby?
Well, there's Pac-Man, there's Sonic, there's Shulk,
I
there's
kick
Mario.
Sonic's ass. I'm sorry, when Sonic supersedes into my hammer, things go very bad for him, I'm afraid.
I always remember playing Smash Bros. Brawl like last year with some mates, and I was playing as Sonic, and the moment I got the Smash Ball, they all went, "Oh fuck you, Michael," because his final Smash is so broken in that game.
Yeah, I think it was broken in Brawl as well.
No, it was broken in Brawl, but they fixed it slightly in Wii U.
Slightly, but not
well,
much.
It's a bit harder to control, and I don't think it has as. I don't think you're in Supersonic form for as long as you were in Brawl.
That might make some people happy, because yeah, in Brawl, that move was ridiculous. I was like, oh fuck, he's won.
Yeah, you're guaranteed a kill in Supersonic.
you cannot stop that. I think that's pretty much it for this show. I think we've covered pretty much all the news and everything. Unless anything you want to talk about, Michael?
Not really, no.
So, shall we end it there for this episode?
Yeah,
I think we did quite well considering the drought.
Yeah, I think we did that usual thing where we just like went off on a constant tangent.
Yeah, isn't that always the best thing we do? Our listeners are going, oh god, they're on another tangent. God,
Yeah, that's what we do.
It's like listening to Ross Noble. They don't stop.
Have you ever tried to tuck in an owl?
What are you doing? You're trying to kill me, you mad bastard? So ladies and gentlemen, I think we are going to call it there for today. This is James Hall signing off.
This is Michael Beckwith signing off.
We shall see you later with hopefully more news. We shall see. So from me, this is goodbye.
Bye all.
Bye.